One of the big questions that hangs over the UFO community is the so-called Fermi paradox. If there's so much potential for intelligent life in the universe, why haven't we heard from anybody? Well, one explanation is that the alien visitors are like zoologists trying to study rare species in the wild. They go to great lengths to go unnoticed so they can observe without disturbing their subject. But now that we've developed high-tech reconnaissance cameras, it may be harder for them to stay hidden. Which brings us to our next video.
It's November 2014, and a Chilean Navy helicopter is on routine patrol near the capital, Santiago. The crew is testing out a forward-looking infrared or FLIR camera. Something catches the technician's eye. And when he points his camera, this is what he captures. Two large overlapping orbs. Check it out. They're moving in unison. Maybe they're even connected.
So we see here, this is done in infrared. Everything that's white is cooler, and everything that is in black is much warmer or hotter, giving off a lot of heat.
Based on the thermal camera's readout, the object is hotter than everything else in the frame, and the Navy crew says the object's speed matches their own 130 knots. Then look, the objects seem to release a plume of some sort, not once, but twice. For forensic investigator Chase Klotsky, the plumes are an intriguing sight.
I've just never seen anything like this before. And the plume, like, what is that? It's so unusual. Is it gas? Is it vapor?
One thing Klotsky is certain about, the video is not a hoax.
This case is absolutely the real deal. Chile actually openly investigates their UFOs. So when the Chilean government comes out and says, this is something that has the characteristics of a UAP, you can take it to the bank.
The Chilean government studied this video for 2 years before releasing it to the public. And this UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, didn't just look strange.
We have reports from the Chilean Navy that this aircraft did not appear on its radar system. We also have a report that they did try to communicate with this aircraft, but it never responded back, which is a bit of a mystery.
The Chilean camera could switch between optical and infrared settings. For an unexplained reason, the plume that shows up as hot in the infrared doesn't appear at all in the optical viewer. To cut through all of these mysteries, we turn the footage over to our experts.
Tim McMillan considers whether it might have been a hostile craft trying to sneak into Chilean airspace.
Obviously, the drone theory is one that everyone has to examine. This was filmed in 2014. Drone technologies were not nearly as advanced as they are today, and they weren't as frequent, even with the militaries of the world. And so there's not really any shape that would be consistent with what you would expect to see from a drone.
Balloons are also mistaken for UFOs quite often, so astronomer and video effects designer Mark D'Antonio looks at that possibility.
Certainly balloons do go that high, and certainly balloons do travel slowly, but they generally don't show hot spots like this. I do not believe this is a balloon.
The key could be those strange plumes. D'Antonio thinks the object is moving through pockets of moist air.
I have watched contrails start and stop and make dashes in the sky. I think this is a contrail from a commercial jet. 2 hot spots, 2 trails.
Others think the plumes could be a plane dumping fuel. But wouldn't the 2-year investigation have tracked that plane down? And the object appears to be headed towards Santiago, a city of over 4 million people.
Aircraft, when they're in trouble, will tend to go out to the ocean to be able to dump their fuel. And they do that in non-populated areas. And if you look at the settings on the Westcam camera, it was looking at an object that was fairly straight ahead, which means that the object was equivalent to its altitude, which puts it at a relatively low. 4,000 feet is nothing in terms of its altitude.
Airplanes only form contrails of ice above 30,000 feet. Hoffman sees why the Chilean authorities still view this video as unexplained.
The Chilean video has an object that has all the appearances of being something that we would think of as being an aircraft, but we just don't know for sure.
There are still no clear explanations for why radar failed to detect this object, or why the plume doesn't show up in the optical viewer. But it's worth pointing out that the U.S. Navy only started seeing UAPs, like the famous Tic Tac, when it installed its Aegis radar systems, which the Chileans didn't have. So, no one can identify what the Chilean Navy caught on video. So we're going to call this a real UFO.